He thought dinner with his new date would be easy, a chance to impress, to fit in, to leave the past behind. But when Ethan Caldwell casually called his black ex-girlfriend embarrassing to make himself look good, he had no idea Karma was about to walk through the door in a stunning purple dress. The moment Naomi Brooks locked eyes with him across that restaurant, his world shattered, and the entire city was about to watch him pay for every cowardly choice he'd ever made. What started as instant humiliation spiraled into a public reckoning that would force Ethan to choose between the comfortable lies he'd been living and the one woman he should have fought for from the start. But here's the question that kept everyone talking. When a man loses everything because of his own pride, can love really survive the wreckage? Subscribe and comment below if you've ever had to fight for a second chance you didn't deserve, because this story proves that redemption isn't given, it's earned, one painful truth at a time. The restaurant smelled like money. Everything gleamed, the silverware, the wine glasses, even the marble floors. Ethan Caldwell sat straight in his chair, adjusting his tie for the third time. Across from him, Clara Weston smiled behind her menu. She wore a cream dress that probably cost more than his car payment. "The lobster here is supposed to be amazing," Clara said. Daniel, Ethan's co-worker, leaned back in his chair. He'd invited himself along, claiming they could talk strategy for Monday's presentation. Really, he just liked expensive food and watching Ethan try to impress dates. "Everything here is overpriced," Daniel said, grinning. "But the company's paying, so who cares?" Ethan forced a laugh. His stomach felt tight. He didn't know why he'd agreed to this dinner. Clara was beautiful, successful, everything his mother would approve of. But something felt wrong, like wearing shoes that didn't quite fit. "So, Ethan," Clara said, setting down her menu, "Daniel says you're the office golden boy. Tell me something interesting about yourself." Daniel snorted. "Careful what you ask for." Ethan's mouth went dry. He grabbed his water glass and took a long sip. In the background, soft piano music played. Other diners murmured around them. A couple near the window held hands across the table. "I'm pretty boring, actually," Ethan said. "Oh, come on." Clara leaned forward. Her perfume was strong. "Everyone has stories. What about relationships? Any crazy exes?" Daniel's eyes lit up. This was the moment he'd been waiting for. "Oh man, you should tell her about Naomi." Ethan's chest tightened. "That's not—" "Naomi was this girl he dated last year," Daniel continued, ignoring him. "Total disaster." "Daniel, shut up," Ethan said quietly. But Daniel was already laughing, already talking, and Clara looked interested, leaning in with that curious smile. Ethan felt something shift inside him, something cowardly and small. "She was just different," Ethan heard himself say. The words tasted bitter. "We didn't fit. She was kind of embarrassing, honestly." He said it to impress Clara, to seem like he had standards, to prove he belonged in places like this, with people like them. The words hung in the air like poison. "Embarrassing how?" Clara asked. Ethan's face burned. Why had he started this? "Just, I don't know. Not my type." "He means she was black," Daniel said too loud. And his mom freaked out. "Daniel!" Ethan snapped. "What? It's true." "Your mom about had a heart attack when—" The hostess appeared at their table, her smile professional and fixed. "Excuse me. Your table for one is ready, miss." She wasn't talking to them. Behind her stood a woman in a purple dress. The dress hugged her curves perfectly, stopping just above her knees. Her natural hair was styled in elegant twists that framed her face. Gold earrings caught the light. Her brown skin seemed to glow. Naomi. Time stopped. Her eyes found Ethan's across the restaurant. For a moment, neither of them moved. The piano music faded. The other voices disappeared. There was only her face, her eyes, the slight lift of her chin. She'd heard him. Ethan knew it instantly. He saw it in the way her jaw tightened, in the tiny pause before she thanked the hostess, in the careful blank look she gave him before turning away. His stomach dropped to his shoes. "Oh my God," Clara whispered. "Do you know her?" Ethan couldn't speak. His throat had closed up. He watched Naomi follow the hostess toward a table near the window. She moved like she owned the place. Confident, beautiful, everything he remembered and more. She looked better than she ever had with him. "That's her, isn't it?" Clara said, her voice sharp now. "That's Naomi." Around them, other diners had noticed. Whispers rippled through the restaurant. A woman at the next table leaned toward her companion. Two men near the bar glanced between Ethan and Naomi. This was a small city. People knew people, and everyone loved drama. Daniel's smile had finally disappeared. "Oh man, did she hear us?" "Of course she heard us, you idiot," Clara hissed. Naomi reached her table. A tall black man stood to greet her. Leo. Ethan recognized him. Her co-worker from the community arts center. Leo pulled out her chair, his hand gentle on her back. He said something that made Naomi laugh. That laugh. Ethan used to live for that sound. Now it cut him like glass. I need to... Ethan started to stand. Don't, Clara said firmly. Don't you dare make this worse. She was right. What would he even say? Sorry you heard me call you embarrassing in front of my new date and my entire office's gossip machine. He sat back down. His hands shook. He hid them under the table. The waiter appeared with their appetizers. Oysters for the table. Can I get you anything else? More wine, Daniel muttered. Lots more wine. Ethan couldn't eat. He stared at the oysters like they were rocks. Across the restaurant, Naomi studied her menu. Leo talked, gesturing with his hands. She nodded, smiled, looked completely at ease. Meanwhile, Ethan was dying. You really dated her? Clara asked. Her voice had changed. Less flirty now, more calculating. She's gorgeous. Yeah, Ethan managed. And you broke up with her because I was a coward. Because my mother said she wasn't good enough. Because Daniel and the other guys at work made jokes. Because I cared more about what people thought than about her. It's complicated, Ethan said. Clara's laugh was cold. I bet it is. The dinner dragged on forever. Each minute felt like an hour. Ethan pushed food around his plate, unable to taste anything. He tried not to look at Naomi. He failed every time. She was radiant. That was the only word for it. The purple dress made her skin glow. When she laughed, her whole face lit up. She touched Leo's arm when she talked, comfortable and warm. She never looked at Ethan once. That hurt more than anything. Daniel tried to start conversations about work. Clara responded with one-word answers. The tension at their table was thick enough to cut. Other diners kept glancing over, enjoying the free entertainment. Finally, mercifully, the check came. I should get going, Clara said, standing before Ethan could even pull out his wallet. Early day tomorrow. I'll walk you out, Ethan offered. Don't bother. She grabbed her purse. Daniel, it was interesting meeting you. She left without saying goodbye to Ethan. Daniel whistled low. Well, that went great. Shut up, Daniel. Hey, I'm not the one who... I said shut up. Ethan threw cash on the table, more than enough to cover everything. He just wanted to leave, to disappear, to rewind time and never come to this restaurant. As he stood, Naomi and Leo stood too. Perfect timing. Of course, they had to walk past each other to reach the exit. Leo saw Ethan first. His expression hardened. He moved slightly, putting himself between Naomi and Ethan. Protective. Naomi touched Leo's arm gently. It's fine. Her voice. Ethan had forgotten how smooth it was, like honey and smoke. They were 3 feet apart now, close enough to touch, close enough to see the tiny scar above Naomi's left eyebrow from when she'd fallen off her bike at age 7. She'd told him that story in bed one Sunday morning, tracing patterns on his chest. Naomi, Ethan said. His voice cracked. She looked at him then, really looked at him. Her brown eyes were calm, not angry, not hurt, just distant, like he was a stranger, like the year they'd spent together meant nothing. Mr. Caldwell, she said politely, formally. Enjoy your evening. She walked past him. Leo followed, his shoulder deliberately bumping Ethan's. Then they were gone, disappearing into the night. Ethan stood frozen in the middle of the restaurant. Around him people stared and whispered. The piano kept playing. The world kept turning. But something inside him had shattered. Ethan's apartment felt too quiet. He threw his keys on the counter and loosened his tie. The clock on the microwave read 10:47 p.m. Outside his window, the city sparkled. Car horns honked. Somewhere people were laughing. He felt sick. Ethan walked to his bedroom without turning on lights. He didn't deserve light right now. He sat on the edge of his bed, still in his suit, and put his head in his hands. Embarrassing, he'd called her. God, what had he been thinking? His phone buzzed. A text from Daniel. Dude, that was rough. Need a beer? Ethan turned off his phone. The silence pressed in. Memories came flooding back, uninvited and sharp. 15 months ago, their first date. Naomi had worn a yellow sundress. She'd suggested coffee at a small cafe downtown, nothing fancy. When she smiled, her whole face transformed. She told him about her job teaching art to kids, about her dream of opening a bigger community center someday. What about you? She'd asked. What do you love? Ethan had drawn a blank. He worked in marketing, made good money, had a nice apartment. But love? I'm still figuring that out, he'd admitted. That's honest, she'd said. I like honest. They talked for 3 hours. The coffee got cold. The cafe started closing. Neither of them noticed. When he'd kissed her goodnight standing under a streetlight, she'd tasted like cinnamon. 11 months ago. Meeting his mother. She seems nice, his mother had said. Her voice was careful. Too careful. They were in her kitchen. Naomi was in the living room looking at family photos. His mother was making tea she didn't want, just for something to do with her hands. She's wonderful, Ethan had said. I think I'm falling for her. His mother's smile hadn't reached her eyes. Have you thought about what people will think? What people? You know what I mean, Ethan. Your colleagues, your future. These things matter. You mean her skin color matters. Don't twist my words, I just want you to be realistic. The conversation had planted a seed of doubt. Small at first, but it grew. 8 months ago, the beginning of the end. Daniel had made a joke at the office holiday party. Something about jungle fever. Other guys had laughed. Ethan had laughed too, uncomfortable, wanting to fit in. Naomi had heard. She'd gone quiet for the rest of the party. In the car going home, she'd finally spoken. Do they always talk like that? They're just joking around. And you laugh. It doesn't mean anything. It means everything, Ethan. She'd been right. He'd been too scared to admit it. 6 months ago, the breakup, they'd been at her apartment. She'd made dinner, jerk chicken, her grandmother's recipe. The apartment smelled like spices and love. I can't do this anymore, Naomi had said quietly. She wasn't crying. That made it worse somehow. Do what? Be with someone who's ashamed of me. I'm not ashamed. You don't hold my hand in public. You avoid talking about me at work. Last week you didn't invite me to your company party. That's not what you think. Then what is it? Ethan had no answer. They both knew the truth. She'd stood up from the table, walked to the door, opened it. I love you, she'd said. Tears finally came. But I love myself more, and I'm done being someone's secret. He'd left. He'd actually left. Walked out without fighting, without begging, without choosing her. The next day at work, Daniel had asked where Naomi was. Ethan had shrugged and said it wasn't working out, and everyone had moved on. Except Ethan never did, not really. Now sitting in his dark bedroom, Ethan pulled out his phone. He went to Instagram, found Naomi's profile. She'd blocked him months ago, but he'd made a fake account just to check on her sometimes. Her feed was full of life. Photos of her students' artwork, pictures from gallery shows, a video of her laughing at some community event, another of her accepting an award from the mayor. She looked happy, successful, free. She looked like someone who'd dodged a bullet. Ethan scrolled back through the photos, stopped on one from a month ago. Naomi standing in front of a colorful mural, paint on her hands, huge smile on her face. The caption read, "Art heals, community builds, love grows. Never let anyone dim your light." His chest ached. He dimmed her light. For a whole year he'd made her smaller, made her doubt herself, made her hide. And tonight he'd called her embarrassing. The word echoed in his head. Embarrassing, embarrassing, embarrassing. Ethan set down his phone. He walked to his window and stared out at the city. Somewhere out there, Naomi was probably home now. Maybe Leo had walked her to her door. Maybe she was drinking tea, the way she always did before bed. Maybe she wasn't thinking about Ethan at all. That thought hurt most of all. The city lights blurred. Ethan realized he was crying. He didn't sleep that night. He lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, watching shadows move across the walls. His brain wouldn't shut off. Every memory, every moment, every chance he'd had to be better. Around 3 a.m. he made a decision. He didn't know how. He didn't know if it was even possible. But he had to try. He had to make this right. Morning came too bright. Ethan showered, shaved, put on jeans and a t-shirt. Saturday. No work, nowhere to be. He drove downtown without really planning to. His car seemed to know the way. He parked near the coffee shop where he and Naomi had their first date. It was still there. Same chalkboard sign, same mismatched chairs. Ethan went inside, ordered a black coffee, sat at the same table they'd shared. The barista called out orders. Steam hissed from the espresso machine. A couple in the corner shared a croissant, feeding each other bites. Ethan pulled out his phone, typed a text to Naomi, deleted it, typed another, deleted that too. What could he possibly say? He was staring at his blank screen when he noticed the flyer. It was taped to the wall next to his table. Bright yellow paper with bold black letters. Community Art Showcase featuring local students and artist Naomi Brooks. Tonight, 7 p.m., Riverside Gallery. Below the text was a photo. Naomi smiling, surrounded by children holding paintbrushes. Ethan's heart hammered. This was a sign, it had to be. The universe giving him one more chance. He grabbed his coffee and stood. A plan formed in his mind. He'd go to the showcase. He'd apologize properly. He'd tell her the truth, that he'd been a coward, that he'd made the biggest mistake of his life, that seeing her last night had broken something open inside him. She might tell him to leave. She might hate him forever. But at least he'd try. At least this time he'd choose her. Ethan left the coffee shop. The morning sun felt warmer now. Hope felt dangerous, but he held on to it anyway. Evening arrived too slowly and too fast. Ethan changed clothes 3 times. First a suit, too formal. Then jeans and a t-shirt, too casual. Finally, he settled on dark pants and a button-down shirt. Simple, honest. He drove to Riverside Gallery with sweaty palms. The gallery sat on a corner downtown, all glass windows and exposed brick. Through the windows, Ethan could see people mingling. Colorful paintings hung on white walls. String lights created a soft glow. He parked across the street, sat in his car for 5 minutes, breathing. "You can do this," he told himself. "Just apologize. That's all." He got out before he could change his mind. Inside, the gallery buzzed with conversation. At least 50 people crowded the space. Parents, teachers, community members. Children ran between the adults, excited to show off their artwork. A table in the corner offered wine and cheese, and there in the center of everything stood Naomi. She wore a simple black dress and flat shoes. Her hair was pulled back, showing off her neck, her collarbones. She held a glass of wine in one hand and gestured with the other, talking to an elderly couple. When she smiled, the couple smiled back. She was in her element. Confident, radiant, home. Ethan's courage wavered. He didn't belong here. This was her world, her success, her joy. What right did he have to intrude? But he'd driven all this way. He'd spent a sleepless night thinking about this. He moved deeper into the gallery, studied the artwork on the walls to avoid being obvious. The paintings were vibrant, splashes of color and emotion, some abstract, some realistic. Each one had a small card, student name, age, title. My Family, by Marcus, age 7. The Ocean at Sunset, by Keisha, age 10. Hope, by Jamal, age 12. The kids had real talent, and Naomi had nurtured it. Beautiful, aren't they? Ethan turned. An older woman stood next to him, gray hair and kind eyes. Yes, he said. Very. Naomi has a gift. She sees potential in everyone. The woman smiled. Even when they can't see it in themselves. She walked away before Ethan could respond. He moved through the gallery, careful to stay out of Naomi's line of sight. He wasn't ready yet. He needed to think, to plan exactly what to say. But then their eyes met. Naomi stood across the room, mid-conversation with a young couple. Her gaze found his. For a second, surprise flickered across her face. Then it smoothed into something neutral, polite. She excused herself from the couple and walked toward him. Ethan's mouth went dry. She stopped 3 feet away, close enough to talk privately, far enough to maintain distance. Good evening, Mr. Caldwell. Her voice was cool, professional. Naomi, are you here to support the community center? She cut him off. We're accepting donations at the front table. I wanted to see you. You saw me last night, at the restaurant. Her eyes were hard now. I heard you too. Ethan's face burned. That's why I'm here, to apologize. This isn't the place. Then when, where? Tell me and I'll be there. Naomi glanced around. People were starting to notice them. An older black woman near the wine table watched with narrowed eyes. A teenager with blue hair whispered to her friend. You need to leave, Naomi said quietly. Please, just give me 5 minutes. No, she said it firmly, finally. You had a year of minutes, Ethan. You wasted every single one. She turned and walked away. Joined a group of parents near a large canvas, smiled like nothing had happened. Like Ethan wasn't standing there, heart in pieces. He stood frozen, unsure what to do. The older black woman from near the wine table appeared at his side. Her expression was stern. You're making her uncomfortable, she said, and this is her night. Don't ruin it. I just want to talk to her, then respect her enough to wait until she's ready. The woman's voice softened slightly. If she's ever ready, which she might not be, and that's her right. The woman walked away, leaving Ethan alone among the artwork and happy voices. He looked at Naomi one last time. She was laughing now, genuinely laughing, at something a little girl was saying. Her whole face lit up. That smile, God, he'd missed that smile. She deserved this happiness, this success, this night, and he was ruining it just by being here. Ethan walked toward the exit. As he reached the door, he heard Naomi's voice behind him, thanking everyone for coming. The crowd applauded. He stepped outside into the cool evening air. The street was quiet now. A few cars passed. Somewhere, a dog barked. Ethan stood on the sidewalk, looking back through the gallery windows. Inside, Naomi moved from person to person, gracious and warm. She belonged there. She'd built this life without him. Maybe that was the point. Maybe the best apology was leaving her alone. Ethan walked to his car, got in and drove home. The city lights passed in a blur. His phone buzzed with a text from Clara. "Hope you're happy. Don't contact me again." He deleted it without responding. At home, he sat on his couch in the dark. The apartment felt emptier than ever. Outside his window, the city kept moving. People kept living. The world kept turning. But Ethan felt stuck in a moment at a restaurant, watching Naomi's face as she heard him betray her. Stuck in every choice he'd made wrong. Stuck between the man he'd been and the man he wished he could be. His phone lit up with a notification. Someone had tagged him in a photo on social media. He opened it reluctantly. It was from the restaurant last night. Someone had taken a picture of their table. Him, Clara, and Daniel. The caption read, "Nothing like dinner and a show." The comments were worse. "Is that Naomi Brooks in the background? She looked amazing. Imagine talking trash about your ex and she walks in looking like that. Karma is real, y'all." Ethan closed the app, put his phone face down on the coffee table. He sat in the dark for a long time, thinking about second chances and whether he deserved one. Thinking about Naomi's voice saying his name, Mr. Caldwell, like he was a stranger. Thinking about how love can die from 1,000 small choices, and wondering if it could ever come back to life. Monday morning hit like a brick. Ethan arrived at work early, hoping to avoid people. It didn't work. The office hummed with whispers the moment he walked through the door. People glanced up from their desks, then quickly looked away. Someone laughed behind him. He knew what they were talking about. Daniel appeared at his desk before Ethan even sat down. "Dude, you're trending on the community Facebook page." "What?" Daniel showed him his phone. The post had over 300 comments, screenshots from the restaurant. Someone had even dug up old photos of Ethan and Naomi together from last year. "Can't believe he said she was embarrassing. Naomi Brooks is a queen he's trashed and she upgraded by leaving him." Ethan's stomach twisted. "This is getting out of hand." "You think?" Daniel laughed, but it sounded nervous. "HR wants to see you at 9. "What? Why?" "The company sponsored her art program last year. They're worried about bad publicity." Daniel lowered his voice. "Between you and me, you might want to update your resume." He walked away before Ethan could respond. The morning crawled by. Ethan sat through the HR meeting, nodding while they talked about maintaining professional image and community relations. They didn't fire him, but the warning was clear. Fix this or face consequences. By lunch, Ethan couldn't take the stairs anymore. He grabbed his keys and left, telling his assistant he felt sick. It wasn't a lie. His stomach had been churning all morning. He drove without thinking and somehow ended up downtown, near the art center where Naomi worked. The building was small but cheerful, bright blue doors, murals covering the outside walls. Through the windows, Ethan could see children at tables, painting. He shouldn't go in. He knew that, but his feet moved anyway. A bell chimed when he opened the door. Inside smelled like paint and paper. Children's voices filled the air, laughter, the sound of chairs scraping. A radio played soft music in the background. "Can I help you?" A young woman at the front desk looked up. Her name tag read Jessica. "Is Naomi here?" Jessica's friendly expression cooled. "She's teaching. Do you have an appointment?" "No, I just—" "Then you'll need to come back later." She turned back to her computer, dismissing him. Ethan stood there, unsure. Through an open doorway, he could see into the classroom. Naomi knelt beside a small boy, helping him mix colors on a palette. She was smiling, patient, completely focused on the child. The boy said something. Naomi laughed and ruffled his hair. Ethan's chest ached. "Sir?" Jessica's voice was sharper now. "You need to leave." "I know. I'm sorry." He turned to go, but stopped at a bulletin board near the door. It was covered with flyers and schedules. One paper caught his eye. "Urgent. Art supply donations needed. Our program is low on supplies. Any donations appreciated: paint, brushes, paper, canvas, etc." Ethan took a photo of the flyer with his phone. An idea formed. Maybe he couldn't talk to Naomi. Maybe she'd never forgive him. But he could help. He could do something good without asking for anything in return. He left the center and drove straight to the art supply store across town. Saturday morning, Ethan's car was packed. He'd spent $500 on art supplies, paints in every color, brushes of all sizes, pads of paper, canvases, markers, colored pencils, everything on the center's wish list, and more. It felt good, spending money on something that mattered, something for her students, not for him. The art center was busier on weekends. Cars filled the small parking lot. Parents dropped off kids at the door. Through the windows, Ethan could see classrooms full of children. He grabbed 2 boxes from his trunk and headed inside. Jessica was at the front desk again. Her eyes widened when she saw the boxes. "What's all this? Donations? Art supplies? There's more in my car." "We didn't order anything. I'm not charging you. They're a gift for the program." Jessica looked suspicious but called someone on the phone. A moment later, Leo appeared from a back hallway. He recognized Ethan immediately. His expression hardened. "You've got to be kidding me." "I saw the flyer," Ethan said quickly, "about needing supplies. I wanted to help." "We don't need your help. The kids do." Leo stepped closer. He was taller than Ethan, broader in the shoulders. His voice dropped low. "Listen carefully. Naomi doesn't want you here. She's been through enough. Don't make this about you trying to feel better about yourself. It's not like that. Then what's it like?" Ethan met his eyes. "It's like I messed up the best thing that ever happened to me. And I can't fix it, but maybe I can do something that matters anyway." Leo studied him for a long moment. Finally, he sighed. "Fine. Bring the supplies in. But stay away from Naomi's classroom." "I will." It took 4 trips to unload everything. Leo helped, though he didn't speak. They stacked the boxes in a storage room. When they finished, Leo wiped his hands on his jeans. "That's a lot of supplies," he admitted. "The kids deserve it." "They do." Leo paused. "But this doesn't make things right between you and Naomi." "I know. She cried, you know, after the restaurant, after last night at the gallery. She acts strong, but you hurt her." Again, the words hit like punches. "I know," Ethan said again, quieter. Leo shook his head and walked away. Ethan stood alone in the storage room, surrounded by boxes of paint and possibility. He heard children laughing somewhere in the building. Heard Naomi's voice through a wall, warm and encouraging, telling someone their painting was beautiful. He wanted to see her, to explain, to beg, but he'd promised Leo. So he left, driving home with an empty car and a full heart, hoping that maybe, somehow, his actions would speak louder than his words ever could. Ethan came back the next Saturday, and the Saturday after that. He didn't announce himself, just showed up early, before classes started, and asked Leo what needed doing. At first, Leo gave him grunt work, taking out trash, mopping floors, stacking chairs. Ethan did it all without complaint. By the 3rd week, Leo softened slightly. Let Ethan help set up easels and organize supplies. They still didn't talk much, but the silence felt less angry. On the 4th Saturday, everything changed. Ethan was hanging a banner in the main classroom, something about an upcoming showcase. He'd climbed a ladder, stretching to reach the right spot. The banner kept sliding sideways. "That's crooked," a voice said behind him. "Naomi." Ethan nearly fell off the ladder. He steadied himself and looked down. She stood in the doorway, arms crossed, expression unreadable. "Sorry," he managed. "I can fix it." 2 inches to the left, he adjusted. "Better?" Still crooked. 1 more inch. He moved it again. "Now?" "Perfect." She turned to leave. "Naomi, wait." She stopped, but didn't turn around. "I told you I didn't want to talk." "I know, but I wanted you to know. This isn't about getting you back or making myself feel better. I wanted to help. That's all." Silence stretched between them. Finally, Naomi looked back over her shoulder. "The kids appreciate the supplies," she said. Her voice was softer now. "They've been able to try new techniques, experiment more. One girl said it felt like Christmas." Ethan's throat tightened. "That's good. Why are you really here, Ethan?" "Because I was wrong. About everything. And I can't take back what I said or how I acted, but maybe I can do something good anyway." Naomi studied him for a long moment. Her expression shifted, something between sadness and understanding. "I used to paint with you in mind," she said quietly. "Did you know that? When we were together, you inspired me. I'd think about your smile, your laugh, the way you looked at me, and the colors would just flow." Ethan climbed down from the ladder. "What do you paint now?" "Myself, my students, the life I've built." She smiled, but it was bittersweet. Turns out I didn't need you for inspiration. I had it inside me the whole time. Before Ethan could respond, a small boy ran into the room. Ms. Brooks! Ms. Brooks! I finished my painting. Show me, Marcus. Naomi's whole demeanor changed. She knelt down to the boy's level, giving him her full attention. Marcus held up a painting of a house with a rainbow overhead. It's where I want to live someday, with my mom and my little sister. That's beautiful, Naomi said. You used the new paints perfectly. The colors are so bright. Mr. Ethan brought those, right? Marcus looked at Ethan. Thank you, Mr. Ethan. Ethan's chest swelled. You're welcome, buddy. Marcus ran off, probably to show someone else his masterpiece. Naomi stood, brushing off her knees. That was nice of you to say, Ethan said. I meant it. Naomi hesitated. Look, I'm not ready to forgive you. I don't know if I ever will be. But I appreciate what you're doing here. The kids notice, and so do I. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was something. Thank you, Ethan said. Naomi nodded and left the room, but this time she didn't slam the door. She just left, like a normal person leaving a normal conversation. It felt like progress. Over the next 2 weeks, Ethan and Naomi fell into a careful rhythm. They'd exchange brief hellos, discuss supply needs, share small updates about the students. They didn't talk about the restaurant, didn't talk about their past, kept everything surface level and safe. But something was shifting. Ethan felt it in the way Naomi's shoulders relaxed when he entered a room, the way she sometimes smiled when he made a joke to one of the kids. Then came the Friday afternoon that changed everything. Ethan had taken a half-day off work to help prepare for a weekend intensive workshop. He was in the main room setting up tables when raised voices echoed from down the hall. He followed the sound to a small conference room. Through the open door, he could see Naomi standing before a group of well-dressed people. A city council meeting of some kind. An older white woman in an expensive suit was speaking. Understand your passion, Ms. Brooks, but the city has limited resources. We simply cannot justify continued funding for every community program. This isn't just any program, Naomi said. Her voice was steady, but Ethan could hear the tension underneath. Our students come from underserved neighborhoods. Many of them don't have access to art education in their schools. This center is their only opportunity. Be that as it may, a balding man interrupted, the numbers show low enrollment. Only 35 students this quarter. Because we can't afford to advertise. If we had better funding, perhaps if the program demonstrated more mainstream appeal, the woman in the suit said. The way she said mainstream made Ethan's skin crawl. The council needs to fund programs that benefit the entire community. Art benefits everyone, Naomi said. But does it benefit taxpayers? Where's the return on investment? Ethan's hands clenched into fists. He recognized this language, corporate speak, coded words that really meant, we don't think your black students matter enough. Before he could think, Ethan walked into the room. Excuse me, he said. Every head turned. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I couldn't help overhearing. Naomi's eyes widened. Ethan, this is a closed meeting. I know, but I think these council members need to hear something. He looked at the woman in the suit. You asked about return on investment. Let me give you some data. He pulled out his phone, thinking fast. Studies show that children in arts programs perform better academically. They're 33% less likely to drop out of school. They develop critical thinking skills, cultural awareness, and emotional intelligence. The balding man frowned. That's all very interesting, but I'm not finished. Ethan's voice was firm. He'd given 100 presentations at work. This was just another pitch. But this time, it actually mattered. This community center serves kids who wouldn't otherwise have these opportunities. That's not a weakness. That's exactly why it deserves funding. You're not investing in a program. You're investing in 35 futures, 35 kids who will grow up believing that this city cared about them. He gestured to Naomi. Ms. Brooks has created something special here. Walk through this building. Look at the walls. You'll see talent, hope, and potential. That's your return on investment. Not in dollars, but in lives changed. The room went silent. The council members exchanged glances. The woman in the suit cleared her throat. That's a compelling argument, Mr. Caldwell. Ethan Caldwell. I work in marketing at Preston and Associates. He straightened his shoulders. And I'm prepared to present a full proposal to the council, pro bono, showing the economic and social benefits of arts education in underserved communities. More silence. Then the balding man said, We'll take that under consideration. Ms. Brooks, we'll revisit this discussion at next month's meeting. It wasn't a yes, but it wasn't a no either. The council members filed out. When the last one left, Naomi turned to Ethan, Her expression was unreadable. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did. Why? Because they were wrong, and you were right. And I'm tired of staying silent when things matter. Naomi's eyes shimmered. For a moment, Ethan thought she might cry. But instead, she did something unexpected. She hugged him. It was quick, barely 2 seconds, but Ethan felt it everywhere. The warmth of her, the familiar scent of her shampoo, the way she fit perfectly against his chest. Then she stepped back, clearing her throat. Thank you, that means a lot. I meant every word. I know, she smiled. A real smile, the first genuine one she'd given him in months. Would you want to get coffee to discuss the proposal? Ethan's heart jumped. Yeah, yes. I'd like that. There's a cafe around the corner. Give me 10 minutes to lock up. I'll wait. Naomi left to gather her things. Ethan stood alone in the conference room, hardly daring to believe what just happened. Coffee, with Naomi, discussing work, yes, but still, it was a start. Leo appeared in the doorway. I heard what you did. You were listening. These walls are thin. Leo studied him. That was good. What you said in there. I just told the truth. Yeah, well. Leo crossed his arms. Maybe you're not as hopeless as I thought. Coming from Leo, that was practically a blessing. She's not a project, Leo added, his voice serious again. You can't earn your way back into her life by being useful. I know. Do you? Because Naomi deserves someone who chooses her, not someone who's trying to prove something. I'm not trying to prove anything. I'm just trying to be better. Leo regarded him for another long moment, then nodded. Good. Keep it that way. He left just as Naomi returned, purse over her shoulder, keys in hand. Ready? She asked. Ethan followed her out into the afternoon sunlight. They walked side by side toward the cafe, not touching, maintaining careful distance. But it felt different now, less hostile, more like two people learning to be in the same space again. At the cafe, the same one where they'd had their first date, they ordered coffee and sat at a small table by the window. So, Naomi said, wrapping her hands around her cup, tell me about this proposal. They talked for an hour, about statistics and funding models, about reaching more kids and expanding programs. Ethan took notes on his phone. Naomi shared her vision for the center's future. It was easy, natural, like old times, but different. There was respect now, carefulness, but also warmth. When their coffee cups were empty, Naomi checked her watch. I should go. My mum's expecting me for dinner. How is your mum? Ethan asked without thinking. Naomi's expression shifted. She's good. Still asking about you, actually. Really? She liked you. Before everything fell apart, Naomi stood, gathering her purse. She said you had a good heart buried under all the fear. She was right about the fear anyway. And the heart. Ethan met her eyes. I'm working on it. Naomi nodded slowly. Keep working. It matters. She left the cafe. Through the window, Ethan watched her walk to her car. She moved with such confidence now, head high, shoulders back, like someone who knew her worth. He'd helped break her down once. Now, watching her rebuilt and strong, Ethan felt something shift inside him. He didn't just want her back. He wanted to be worthy of her, to become the kind of man who would have fought for her from the start, who would have held her hand proudly in public, who would have told his mother and his co-workers and the whole damn world that he loved Naomi Brooks, and anyone who had a problem with it could go to hell. It was too late for the past. But maybe, just maybe, it wasn't too late to become that man now. The following Thursday, Ethan's phone rang during his lunch break. Unknown number. Hello? Mr. Caldwell? This is Naomi Brooks. His heart stuttered. Hey, hi. I mean, hello? A soft laugh on the other end. Smooth. Sorry, you caught me off guard. I was calling about the proposal. The council meeting is in 3 weeks. Do you really have time to put something together? I'll make time. This is a lot of work for free, Ethan. It's not free. It's important. Silence on the line. Then, would you want to work on it together? I have data on our students' progress, testimonials from parents. It might be helpful. That would be great. When? Are you free Saturday afternoon? Saturday. 3 days away. Ethan's calendar was empty, but he pretended to check anyway. I can make that work. Come by my place around 2. We can spread everything out, really dig into it. Her place. Ethan hadn't been to Naomi's apartment in 6 months. The last time was the night she'd broken up with him. I'll be there, he said. Okay, good, see you then. She hung up. Ethan stared at his phone, hardly believing it. Saturday afternoon, at her apartment, working together. It wasn't a date, it was work. Professional, impersonal, but it felt like the door was opening, just a crack, just enough to let a little light through. Ethan finished his lunch without tasting it, already counting down the days. Saturday arrived with rain. Ethan stood outside Naomi's apartment building, holding a coffee carrier and getting soaked. He'd brought her favorite, vanilla latte with extra foam. He remembered. He pressed the buzzer. Static crackled. "Hello?" Naomi's voice. "It's me. I brought coffee." The door buzzed open. Ethan climbed the familiar stairs to the 3rd floor. The hallway smelled the same. Laundry detergent and someone's cooking. He reached apartment 3C and knocked. Naomi opened the door in jeans and an oversized sweater. Her hair was pulled up in a messy bun. No makeup. She looked beautiful. "You're soaking wet," she said. "It's pouring out there. Come in before you flood my hallway." She stepped aside. Ethan entered, suddenly nervous. The apartment looked different. New curtains, different furniture arrangement. A large painting dominated one wall, abstract, all blues and purples. Her work, clearly. "That's new," he said, nodding at the painting. "Painted it a few months ago. It's called After the Storm." Naomi took the coffee carrier. "You remembered my order? Vanilla latte, extra foam." Something flickered across her face. "Yeah." She gestured to the dining table, already covered with papers, folders, and her laptop. They settled in, Naomi on one side, Ethan on the other, safe distance between them. For the first hour they worked in focused silence. Ethan reviewed enrollment data, while Naomi organized testimonials from parents. Rain drummed against the windows. The apartment felt cozy, intimate. "Look at this," Naomi said, sliding a paper across the table. "Marcus, the boy you met, his grades improved by 2 letter grades after joining our program. His teacher says he's more confident, more engaged." Ethan read the teacher's note. "This is perfect, real results, exactly what the council needs to see. I have a dozen more like that." They worked through the stories together. Each one hit Ethan in the chest. Kids thriving. Kids discovering talents they didn't know they had. Kids finding safe spaces and caring adults. "You've built something amazing," Ethan said. "You know that, right?" Naomi looked up from her laptop. "We built it. The whole team. Leo, Jessica, the volunteers. It takes a community. But it started with you, your vision, your heart." She held his gaze for a moment. "Thank you." The air felt charged. Ethan looked back down at his notes, suddenly aware of how close they were. Just a table between them. Close enough to reach across and touch her hand. He didn't, but he wanted to. "I'm hungry," Naomi announced, breaking the tension. "Want to order lunch?" "Sure. What are you thinking? Thai food? From that place on Maple Street?" Ethan smiled. "The one with the spicy basil noodles? You remember?" "I remember everything, Naomi." She looked away quickly. "I'll order. Same thing you used to get?" "Yeah, please." While Naomi called in the order, Ethan stood and stretched. He wandered to the bookshelf, scanning the titles. Mostly art books, some novels. A photo frame caught his eye. It was Naomi with her students. Everyone was covered in paint, laughing at the camera. Pure joy. "That was from our spring project," Naomi said, coming up beside him. "We painted a mural on the side of the building. It took 3 weeks. You look happy." "I am happy." She said it simply, honestly. "I wasn't for a while after we broke up, but I found my way back." Ethan turned to face her. They were standing close now, too close. He could see the gold flecks in her brown eyes, the tiny scar above her eyebrow. "I'm sorry," he said, "for everything. I know I've said it before, but I need you to really hear me. I was a coward. I let other people's opinions matter more than you, and that's unforgivable." Naomi's expression softened. "It hurt, more than I let on." "I know. Do you? Because it wasn't just the breakup. It was all the small moments before that. Every time you let go of my hand in public. Every time you made excuses not to introduce me to your work friends. Every time you chose being comfortable over being brave." Her words cut deep because they were true. "I was afraid," Ethan admitted, "of judgment, of not fitting in, of my mother's disappointment. Stupid reasons, selfish reasons. At least you're honest now. I'm trying to be, about everything." They stood in silence, the weight of the past hanging between them. Then Naomi's phone buzzed. "Food's here, I'll grab it." She left to meet the delivery driver downstairs. Ethan exhaled, his heart racing. That conversation had felt important, like something had shifted. Like maybe, just maybe, she was starting to see him differently. They ate lunch at the table, pushing papers aside. The noodles were spicy and perfect. They traded stories about work, carefully avoiding anything too personal. But underneath the casual conversation, something was building. A warmth, a possibility. After lunch, they worked for another 2 hours. By 4 o'clock, they had the skeleton of a solid proposal. "This is really good," Naomi said, reviewing their outline. "The council would be idiots to say no." "Then let's make sure they can't." Ethan closed his laptop. "I'll write up the formal presentation this week, design some visuals, make it professional. You don't have to do all that." "I want to. This matters, Naomi. You matter." She looked at him, something unreadable in her expression. "Why are you doing this, really?" "Because watching you at that council meeting, seeing you fight for those kids, it reminded me why I fell for you in the first place. Your passion, your conviction, the way you care about things that matter." "Ethan, I'm not asking for anything," he said quickly. "I'm not trying to win you back or make some grand gesture. I want to help. That's all." Naomi stood and walked to the window. Rain still fell outside, softer now. She wrapped her arms around herself. "My mom asks about you," she said to the glass. Ethan's heart skipped. "Yeah?" "She says people can change, that everyone deserves second chances." Naomi turned to face him. "I told her some mistakes are too big." "Are they?" "I don't know anymore." Her voice was barely a whisper. "Part of me wants to hate you. It would be easier, but then you show up at the center. You defend my program. You remember my coffee order. And I remember why I loved you." Loved. Past tense. But still, she'd said it. "I loved you too," Ethan said. "I still do." Naomi's eyes widened. "Don't. It's true. I know I have no right to say it. I know I destroyed what we had. But I need you to know. Losing you was the biggest mistake of my life. And if I could go back and change everything, I would." Tears shimmered in her eyes. "That's not fair." "I know. You don't get to walk back into my life and say these things. I know that too." Ethan stood but kept his distance. "I'm not asking you to take me back. I'm just telling you the truth. What you do with it is up to you." The moment stretched between them, fragile and electric. Then Naomi's phone rang, shattering the tension. She grabbed it, grateful for the interruption. "Hey Leo, what's up?" She listened, her expression changing. Oh no, okay. I'll be right there." She hung up and grabbed her keys. "There's a leak at the center. Leo needs help moving equipment before it gets ruined. I'll come with you. You don't have to." "I want to." They drove to the center in Naomi's car. The rain had stopped, leaving the streets wet and shining. Inside the building, chaos reigned. Water dripped from a ceiling tile in the main classroom. Leo and Jessica were already moving easels and supply carts. "It's coming from the second floor," Leo explained. "Old pipes finally gave out." They worked together for the next hour, moving furniture, catching drips in buckets, calling a plumber. By the time they finished, everyone was exhausted. "I'll stay until the plumber arrives," Leo offered. "Thanks," Naomi said. "I owe you one." "You owe me a dozen." "But who's counting?" He grinned, then looked at Ethan. "You too, man. Thanks for helping." "Anytime." Outside, the sun was setting. Everything smelled fresh and clean after the rain. Naomi and Ethan walked to her car in silence. "Want me to drive you back to get your car?" she asked. "That would be great." They drove through the city as streetlights flickered on. The radio played soft music. Neither of them spoke, but it wasn't uncomfortable. It felt like they'd crossed some invisible line today, like something had changed. At Naomi's building, Ethan opened his car door but hesitated. Today was good. Working together, I mean. "It was," Naomi agreed. "Maybe we could do it again. Finish the proposal?" She smiled. "I'd like that." Ethan's phone buzzed. He glanced at it. A text from Clara. He frowned. "Everything okay?" Naomi asked. "Yeah, just Clara texting me." Naomi's expression shuttered. "Clara, your date from the restaurant. We're not dating. We never really were. But she's texting you. As a friend, that's all." Naomi's jaw tightened. "Right. Well, I should go." "Naomi, wait." But she was already backing up, putting distance between them. "I'll email you about the proposal. Thanks for today." She walked into her building before Ethan could explain. He sat in his car, frustrated. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. He looked at Clara's text. "Hey, I heard you're working with your ex on some charity thing. Just wanted to say that's big of you. Hope you're doing okay." Ethan deleted it and drove home, wishing the day hadn't ended on that note. The next week passed in a blur. Ethan worked on the proposal during every spare moment. He created graphs and charts, wrote compelling narratives, made it look professional and polished. He emailed updates to Naomi. She responded with data and feedback. Their messages were friendly but careful. Neither mentioned Clara. Neither mentioned their conversation at her apartment. On Wednesday, Ethan's mother called. "Ethan, dear, I haven't heard from you in weeks. I've been busy, Mom." "Too busy for your mother?" She laughed, but it sounded forced. "I wanted to invite you to dinner this Sunday. I'm making your favorite." Ethan hesitated. "Actually, I might be busy." "Doing what?" "Working on a community project." "What kind of project?" He took a breath. "An art program for underprivileged kids. I'm helping with funding proposals." Silence on the line. Then, "That's nice. Who are you working with?" "Naomi." More silence. Longer this time. "Naomi Brooks? Your ex-girlfriend?" "Yes." "Ethan." His mother's voice was tight. "I thought we agreed that relationship wasn't appropriate." "We never agreed to anything. You decided. And I was too weak to stand up to you." "That's not fair. I only wanted what was best for you." "What's best for me is being with someone who makes me want to be better. Someone who challenges me and inspires me. That was Naomi. And I lost her because I cared more about your approval than about my own happiness." His mother was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was softer. "Is that really how you felt?" "Yes. I didn't realize. I thought you ended things because you wanted to. I ended things because I was scared. Of judgment, of gossip, of not measuring up to some imaginary standard." Ethan rubbed his face. "But I'm done being scared, Mom. I'm done letting other people decide what my life should look like. Does Naomi know how you feel?" "I told her. She doesn't trust me. I don't blame her." His mother sighed. "You know what your father used to say? He'd say a man's character shows in how he treats people when no one's watching. I haven't always lived by that. I've cared too much about appearances, about what people think." She paused. "If Naomi makes you happy, truly happy, then maybe I was wrong." Ethan's throat tightened. "Thanks, Mom. Don't thank me yet. I still want you at Sunday dinner. And bring Naomi." "What?" "You heard me. If you're serious about her, then I should get to know her properly, the way I should have the first time." Ethan's heart raced. "I don't know if she'll come." "Ask her. The worst she can say is no." They said goodbye. Ethan sat staring at his phone, hardly believing what just happened. His mother had just given her blessing. Sort of. Now he just had to convince Naomi. Friday evening, the proposal was finished. Ethan read through it one last time, making final tweaks. It was good. Really good. The kind of presentation that could actually make a difference. He texted Naomi. "Proposal's done. Want to review it together before the meeting?" Her reply came quickly. "Sure." "When?" "Tomorrow. We could grab dinner after?" A long pause. Then, "Just dinner? Or are you asking me on a date?" Ethan stared at the message. This was it. The moment to be honest, to be brave. "I'm asking you on a date. A real one, where I hold your hand in public and tell the waiter you're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally, "Pick me up at 7. Ethan's entire body flooded with relief and joy. He texted back, "I'll be there," then added, "Also, my mum wants you to come to Sunday dinner." "What?" "I told her about us, about the proposal, about everything. She wants to apologize, to start over." "Ethan, I know it's a lot, but I want you to know I'm not hiding anymore. Not from her, not from anyone." A longer pause this time, then, "Okay, let's see how tomorrow goes first." "Deal." Ethan set down his phone and smiled. For the first time in months, the future felt bright. Saturday night, Ethan stood outside Naomi's building at 6:55 p.m. He'd dressed carefully. Nice jeans, a button-down shirt, his good jacket. He held a small bouquet of sunflowers, her favorite. At exactly 7, Naomi emerged from the building. She wore a deep red dress that hugged her curves. Her hair fell in loose curls around her shoulders. Gold earrings caught the light. She looked stunning. "Hi," she said, smiling shyly. "Hi." Ethan held out the flowers. "For you. You remembered these too." "I told you. I remember everything." They drove to a restaurant on the waterfront. Not fancy, just a local place with great food and a view of the harbor. Ethan had chosen carefully, somewhere comfortable, somewhere they could actually talk. Inside, the hostess seated them at a table by the window. Boats bobbed in the marina. The sunset painted everything gold. "This is nice," Naomi said, looking around. "No pressure, just us." They ordered wine and appetizers. The conversation flowed easily. They talked about the proposal, about the council meeting next week, about Naomi's students. Everything felt natural, right. When their entrees arrived, Ethan reached across the table and took Naomi's hand. She didn't pull away. I meant what I said, he told her. I'm not hiding anymore. I don't care who sees us. I don't care what anyone thinks. What changed? Naomi asked softly. I did. Losing you. It broke something open inside me. Made me realize I'd been living half a life, playing it safe, never really standing for anything. He squeezed her hand. You were worth fighting for. I just couldn't see it then. And now? Now I see it clearly. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. And if you give me another chance, I swear I'll spend every day proving that I deserve it. Tears filled Naomi's eyes. You hurt me, Ethan. Really hurt me. I know. And I will spend the rest of my life making up for that if you let me. What about your mum? Your work friends? What happens when people judge us? Then they can judge. I don't care anymore. All I care about is you. Naomi wiped her eyes, smiling through tears. You're really different. I'm trying to be the man you deserved from the start. You're doing pretty good so far. They finished dinner holding hands across the table. When the check came, Ethan paid, and they walked out to his car. The night air was warm. Music drifted from a nearby bar. Naomi leaned against his car, looking up at the stars. Thank you, she said, for tonight, for everything. Ethan stepped closer. Can I kiss you? I thought you'd never ask. He cupped her face in his hands and kissed her slowly, gently. She melted against him, her hands gripping his jacket. It felt like coming home, like everything finally clicking into place. When they pulled apart, both were breathless. So, Ethan said, Sunday dinner at my mom's? Naomi laughed. You're really committed to this, huh? Completely. Okay, I'll come. But if it goes badly, it won't, I promise. He drove her home and they kissed again at her door. Long and sweet and full of promise. When Ethan finally left, he was floating. Everything was falling into place. Finally. Sunday dinner started tense. Ethan's mother answered the door with a forced smile. Naomi, welcome. Please come in. The house smelled like roast chicken and fresh bread. Ethan's childhood home, full of memories. Naomi gripped his hand tightly as they entered. Thank you for having me, Mrs. Caldwell, Naomi said politely. Please, call me Margaret. His mother gestured to the dining room. Dinner's almost ready. Can I get you something to drink? They settled around the table. For the first few minutes, everyone made small talk. Weather, traffic, anything but the elephant in the room. Finally, Margaret set down her fork. Naomi, I owe you an apology. Naomi looked up, surprised. When you and Ethan were dating before, I didn't treat you fairly. I let my own prejudices and fears guide my behavior. I made you feel unwelcome in my son's life. Margaret's voice wavered. That was wrong and I'm sorry. The room went silent. Ethan held his breath. I appreciate that, Naomi said carefully. It did hurt. I imagine it did. I was raised in a different time, but that's no excuse. My son loves you. That should have been enough. Margaret looked at Ethan, then back to Naomi. If you're willing to give him another chance, then I hope you'll give me one too. Naomi studied the older woman. Why the change of heart? Because I saw what losing you did to him. He was miserable, lost, and I realized I'd rather see my son happy with someone who challenges him to be better than see him comfortable with someone who doesn't matter. Margaret smiled sadly. You matter, Naomi. To him, and therefore to me. Ethan's throat tightened. He reached for Naomi's hand under the table. Thank you, Naomi said softly. That means a lot. The rest of dinner was easier. They talked about Naomi's work, about the art center, about the upcoming council meeting. Margaret asked thoughtful questions and listened carefully to the answers. By dessert, everyone was actually laughing. When they said goodbye at the door, Margaret hugged Naomi. Come back any time, both of you. In the car, Naomi was quiet. You okay? Ethan asked. Yeah, just processing. She looked at him. That took courage, for both of you. She meant it, the apology. I know, I could tell. Naomi squeezed his hand. Thank you for standing up to her for me. Always, from now on, always. They drove to the community center. Tuesday was the big council meeting, and they wanted to do one final run-through of the presentation. Inside, Leo was locking up. Hey, you two. Working late. Just finalizing things for Tuesday, Naomi explained. Leo grinned. You two are back together, aren't you? Naomi blushed. Maybe. About time. Leo grabbed his jacket. All right, I'm out. Don't stay too late. After he left, Ethan and Naomi went through the presentation one more time. Everything was perfect. The data was solid. The stories were compelling. The visuals were professional. We've got this, Ethan said confidently. I hope so. Naomi closed her laptop. These kids deserve better funding. They're going to get it. I promise. They packed up and headed for the door. In the parking lot, under the streetlights, Ethan pulled Naomi close. Whatever happens Tuesday, I'm proud of what we did. Me too. He kissed her, slow and deep. She wrapped her arms around his neck, pressing against him. When they finally pulled apart, both were smiling. See you Tuesday, Naomi asked. I'll be there. Ethan drove home feeling lighter than he had in months. Everything was finally working out. The proposal was solid. Naomi had forgiven him. His mother had apologized. For the first time in forever, Ethan felt like his life was on the right track. He should have known it was too good to last. Monday morning, Ethan woke to his phone buzzing non-stop. Texts, notifications, missed calls. Confused, he checked social media. His stomach dropped. Someone had screenshot his original comment from months ago, the post from the restaurant night. But now it was making the rounds again with new commentary. This is the guy who called Naomi Brooks embarrassing, and now he's all over her charity program. Performative much? Using her for good publicity. Typical. Once a racist, always a racist. The post had hundreds of shares, hundreds of comments. People were tagging the community center, tagging Naomi, tagging his company. Ethan's hands shook as he scrolled through the vicious comments. Someone had even dug up photos of him and Naomi together, taken recently outside the art center. She took him back. Girl, love yourself. He's probably using her to save his reputation. Naomi deserves so much better. Ethan tried calling Naomi, straight to voicemail. He texted, I'm so sorry, I don't know who did this, please call me. No response. He got dressed and drove straight to the art center. Leo met him at the door, arms crossed. You need to leave. I need to talk to Naomi. She doesn't want to see you. Please, Leo, this is a misunderstanding. Is it? Because that post is from 6 months ago. Your words, your voice. Nothing's misunderstood about that. I know what I said was terrible, but I've changed. I've been working to make things right by using her program to clean up your image. Leo's voice was hard. That's what everyone's saying, that you're not really sorry, you're just trying to save face. That's not true. Then why now? Why show up after she heard you trash her? Why volunteer? Why help with funding? Leo leaned in. Convenient timing, don't you think? Ethan's chest tightened. It wasn't like that. I genuinely wanted to help. Maybe. Or maybe you wanted to stop being the villain in everyone's story. Leo stepped back. Either way, Naomi's done. She deleted your number. She's not taking your calls. And the council's going to see this post before the meeting tomorrow. The world tilted. No, we can explain. There's nothing to explain. You said what you said, and now everyone knows it. Leo's expression softened slightly. Look, man, maybe you did change. Maybe you're really sorry, but Naomi's been through enough. She doesn't need this drama. She doesn't need to defend loving someone who hurt her publicly. I never wanted to hurt her again. But you did, by existing in her space, by making people talk. Leo shook his head. The best thing you can do now is walk away. Let her rebuild without your shadow hanging over everything. Ethan wanted to argue, to fight, to beg. But Leo was right. The post was everywhere. People were talking, judging, and Naomi was caught in the middle again, because of him. Tell her, Ethan's voice cracked, tell her I'm sorry, and that the proposal stands. She can present it without me. Take all the credit. I don't need recognition. I just want her program to succeed. Leo nodded. I'll tell her. Ethan walked back to his car, feeling like he was moving through water. Everything hurt. His chest, his throat, his heart. He'd been so close to making things right. And now, it was all falling apart again. Ethan sat in his car outside the art center for 20 minutes before he could move. His phone kept buzzing. Daniel had texted, Dude, you're all over social media. Not good. His boss had emailed, We need to talk. My office. 9 a.m. But Ethan ignored it all. He stared at the art center's bright blue doors, wishing he could turn back time, wishing he'd never gone to that stupid restaurant, wishing he'd been brave enough to love Naomi properly from the start. Finally, he drove to work. The office felt hostile. People whispered as he passed. Someone had printed out the social media post and left it on his desk. Daniel appeared at his cubicle, looking uncomfortable. HR wants to see you, Daniel said quietly. And, dude, I'm sorry. I didn't think anyone would bring that stuff up again. You were there, Daniel. You laughed when I said it. I know, and I feel like crap about it. Daniel ran his hand through his hair. For what it's worth, I think you really changed. What you did for Naomi's program was real. Tell that to the internet. Ethan went to his boss's office. The meeting was short and brutal. They couldn't fire him. He hadn't done anything illegal, but they could make things uncomfortable. No more high-profile clients, no more presentations. Keep his head down until this blew over. The company sponsored that art program, his boss said. This makes us look bad, like we're associated with someone who... He stopped, choosing his words carefully. Someone with questionable values. I made a mistake, Ethan said. Months ago. I've been trying to make it right. By dating the woman you insulted? That looks opportunistic, Ethan. Like damage control. It's not like that. I love her, his boss sighed. Then I feel sorry for her, because right now you're a liability, to her reputation and to ours. Ethan left the office at noon. He couldn't focus, couldn't think. He drove aimlessly through the city, watching people live their normal lives, shopping, laughing, existing without their whole world falling apart. His phone rang. His mother. Ethan, I saw the news online. Are you all right? No, Mom, I'm not all right. Come over, please. Let's talk. He drove to her house. Margaret opened the door before he could knock, concern etched on her face. She pulled him into a hug. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. Inside, she made tea. They sat at the kitchen table, the same table where she'd once told him Naomi wasn't good enough. The irony wasn't lost on Ethan. I ruined everything, he said. Again. What happened? He explained it all. The post resurfacing, the accusations that he was using Naomi, Leo turning him away, Naomi deleting his number. Margaret listened without interrupting. When he finished, she set down her teacup. Do you love her? Yes. Then fight for her. Publicly. The way you should have from the beginning. How? She won't talk to me. Everyone thinks I'm using her. So prove them wrong. Margaret leaned forward. You made a mistake in public. You apologized in private. That's not enough. If you really want to make this right, you need to own it publicly. Show everyone, show Naomi that you're not ashamed of loving her. What do you mean? I mean tell the truth. Loudly. Proudly. Tell the whole city what she means to you. Make it impossible for anyone to doubt your intentions. Ethan stared at his mother. You really mean that? I do. And I'll help you. She pulled out her phone. Remember my friend Patricia? She hosts that community radio show. Let me call her. Mom, I don't know. Ethan Caldwell, you've spent enough time being scared. It's time to be brave. She was right. He'd apologized to Naomi privately. He'd told his mother. He'd helped at the art center. But he'd never publicly declared what she meant to him. Never stood up in front of everyone and said, I love this woman, and I was wrong to hide it. Make the call, Ethan said. By Tuesday afternoon, Ethan had recorded a video. He sat in his apartment, camera aimed at his face, and told the truth. All of it. My name is Ethan Caldwell. 6 months ago, I said something terrible about someone I loved. I called her embarrassing. I said it to impress a date, to fit in with people who didn't matter. I said it because I was a coward. He took a breath, keeping his voice steady. The woman I insulted is Naomi Brooks. She's an art teacher, a community leader, and the most incredible person I've ever known. She wasn't embarrassing. She was too good for me. And instead of fighting for her, I let her go. I let my fear of judgment matter more than her happiness, more than our love. Ethan looked directly into the camera. I'm not making this video to save my reputation. I'm making it because Naomi deserves to hear this publicly. She deserves to know that I'm not ashamed of her. I never should have been. She's brilliant, passionate, and strong. She builds up children other people ignore. She creates beauty in broken places. She's everything I'm not, and everything I want to be. His voice cracked slightly. I know some people think I'm using her charity program to look good. That's not true. I volunteer there because her work matters, because those kids matter, because I wanted to support something bigger than myself. But if my presence is hurting her reputation, then I'll step away. Her success is more important than my redemption. He paused, collecting himself. Naomi, if you're watching this, I love you. I'm sorry I didn't say it loud enough before. I'm saying it now to everyone. I love you and I'm done hiding. He posted the video to every social media platform. Then he sent it to the local news stations. His hands shook as he hit send. Within an hour, it had 100 views. Within 2 hours, 1,000. By evening, the comments started changing. Okay, this is actually genuine. He's putting himself out there. Respect. Still doesn't erase what he said, but at least he's owning it. His mother's friend, Patricia, called. Ethan, I saw your video. Come on my show tomorrow morning. Let's talk about it. Are you sure? Positive. People need to hear real accountability, real growth. 8 o'clock. Be there. Ethan agreed. his heart pounding. That night, he couldn't sleep. He kept checking his phone, hoping for a text from Naomi. Nothing came, but the video kept spreading. By morning, it had 20,000 views. The radio station was small, tucked above a coffee shop downtown. Patricia greeted Ethan warmly. She was in her 60s with silver hair and kind eyes, ready to talk, as ready as I'll ever be. They went live at 8. Patricia introduced him, then got straight to the point. Ethan, your video has been making waves. Tell us what prompted you to make such a public statement. Ethan took a breath. I made a mistake, a big one. I hurt someone I loved because I was afraid of what other people would think, and I needed to own that publicly, the way I should have from the start. You're talking about Naomi Brooks, the art teacher. Yes, Naomi is, she's incredible, and I didn't appreciate her when I had the chance. I let fear control me, fear of judgment, fear of not fitting in, and that cost me the best thing in my life. Patricia nodded. Some people say you're only helping her program now to rehabilitate your image. What do you say to that? I understand why people think that. The timing looks suspicious. But the truth is, I volunteer there because her work is important. Those kids deserve support. Naomi deserves support. If my presence makes things harder for her, I'll walk away. Her success matters more than my reputation. That's a bold statement. It's the truth. I spent too long caring what strangers thought. I'm done with that. The only opinion that matters is Naomi's. And right now, she doesn't want anything to do with me. I don't blame her. They talked for 20 minutes. Ethan answered every question honestly. He didn't make excuses, didn't blame anyone else, just owned his mistakes and talked about growth. When it ended, Patricia shook his hand. That took courage. I hope Naomi hears it. Me too. Ethan left the station and drove to work. His phone exploded with notifications. The interview was already being shared online. The comments were mixed, but more positive than before. At the office, Daniel met him at his desk. Dude, that interview, that was real. It was the truth. People are talking about it in a good way. Daniel hesitated. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. For laughing that night. For encouraging you to talk trash. That was wrong. Yeah, it was. I'm trying to be better too. Learning from you. Daniel clapped him on the shoulder. Hope it works out with Naomi. Ethan spent the rest of the day working, trying to focus. But his mind kept drifting to Naomi. Had she heard the interview? Did she care? Would she ever forgive him? At 5 o'clock, his phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? It's Leo. Ethan's heart jumped. Hey, is Naomi okay? She's processing. She heard the interview, saw the video. Leo was quiet for a moment. She's at the art center, classroom B, if you want to talk to her. Really? She didn't ask me to call, but I think she needs to hear what you have to say, face to face. Leo's voice softened. Don't mess this up, man. I won't, thank you. Ethan grabbed his keys and ran. The art center was quiet when Ethan arrived. Most classes were done for the day. A few stragglers remained, parents picking up kids. Jessica waved him through without comment. Classroom B was at the end of the hall. The door was open. Inside, Naomi stood at a table, cleaning paintbrushes in a jar of water. She wore jeans and a paint-splattered t-shirt. Her hair was pulled back. She looked tired. Ethan knocked softly on the doorframe. Naomi looked up. For a moment, neither spoke. Hi, Ethan said finally. Hi. Leo said I could come. I know. She set down the brushes. I heard your interview this morning. And I'm trying to figure out if I believe you. Ethan stepped into the room but kept his distance. What can I do to prove it? I don't know, Ethan, that's the problem. Naomi's voice wavered. You said beautiful things on the radio. You made a heartfelt video, but you've hurt me before. How do I know this isn't just another performance? It's not, I swear. You swore before too. You said you loved me. Then you let your mother convince you I wasn't good enough. You let your co-workers make jokes. You chose comfort over me. I know, and I hate myself for it. I don't want you to hate yourself. Naomi's eyes filled with tears. I want you to love me enough to fight for me. In public, where it's hard, where people might judge you. I am fighting. I did it on the radio. In the video, in front of my mother, my co-workers, everyone. Why now? Why not a year ago when it mattered? Because I was broken then. Scared, small. Ethan moved closer. But losing you broke me open. Made me see what I'd become. A man who valued comfort over love. Approval over integrity. I don't want to be that person anymore. Naomi wiped her eyes. I loved you so much, Ethan. You have no idea how much it hurt when you didn't fight for me. I'm fighting now. I know I'm late. I know I don't deserve another chance. But I love you, Naomi. I love your passion, your strength, the way you light up when you talk about your students. I love how you never gave up on yourself, even when I gave up on us. I want to believe you. Then believe me, please. Ethan closed the distance between them. I can't change the past, but I can promise you the future, a future where I hold your hand proudly, where I introduce you as the woman I love, where I fight for you every single day. Naomi looked at him, searching his face. If I take you back, things have to be different. They will be, I promise. No more hiding, no more caring what people think. Never again. And if your mother says something, if your co-workers make jokes, then I shut it down immediately every time. Ethan took her hands. You're my priority, not them, not anymore. Naomi's tears spilled over. You really hurt me. I know, and I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you. She studied him for a long moment. Then, slowly, she leaned forward and rested her forehead against his chest. Ethan wrapped his arms around her, holding her close. Don't let me down again, she whispered. I won't. I swear. They stood like that for a long time, holding each other in the empty classroom. Outside, the sun was setting, painting everything gold. Finally, Naomi pulled back and looked up at him. The council meeting is Thursday. Did you still want to present with me? If you want me there, I'll be there. I want you there. She smiled through her tears. We built that proposal together. We should present it together. Are you sure? After everything that happened, I'm sure. People are going to talk no matter what we do. Might as well give them something real to talk about. Ethan kissed her forehead. You're incredible. I know. She laughed softly. And now help me clean up these brushes. We have work to do. They cleaned the classroom together, falling into easy rhythm. It felt normal, natural, like coming home after a long journey. When they finished, Naomi grabbed her bag. Walk with me? Anywhere. They left the art center and walked toward the boardwalk a few blocks away. The evening air was warm, carrying the smell of salt water. Couples strolled past holding hands. Street performers played music on corners. At the boardwalk, they leaned against the railing, looking out at the ocean. Waves crashed against the shore. Seagulls called overhead. I set some ground rules, Naomi said. For us, moving forward. Okay. First, complete honesty. No more hiding your feelings or worrying about judgment. Agreed. Second, you defend me. Always. If someone says something racist, something dismissive, something cruel, you shut it down, without hesitation. Third, we take things slow. I need to trust you again. That takes time. Ethan nodded. However long you need. Naomi turned to face him. And fourth, no more performances. I don't need grand gestures or public declarations every week. I just need you to show up, consistently, honestly, for me. I can do that, she smiled. Then we have a deal. They kissed as the sun dipped below the horizon. The sky turned pink and orange. Around them, the boardwalk buzzed with life. A street musician started playing a love song. Children ran past laughing. Ethan pulled back and looked at Naomi, really looked at her, this beautiful, strong, incredible woman who was giving him another chance. I won't let you down, he said. I know, because if you do, Leo will kill you. Ethan laughed. Fair enough. They walked along the boardwalk until the stars came out, talked about everything and nothing, made plans for the council meeting, discussed where they'd go for their next real date. It felt like a new beginning, like the universe giving them a second chance to get it right. Thursday arrived with clear skies. The council meeting was at 6. Ethan picked up Naomi at 5, giving them time to review notes one last time. She wore a professional black suit and her natural hair in an elegant updo. She looked powerful, confident. Ready? Ethan asked. Ready? The council chambers were packed. Community members filled every seat. Ethan recognized some faces. Leo, Jessica, parents from the art center. Even Margaret had come, sitting in the back row. The council members sat at a raised platform. The woman in the expensive suit from before looked skeptical. The balding man looked bored. When it was their turn, Ethan and Naomi stood at the podium together. Naomi spoke first, her voice clear and strong. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm Naomi Brooks, director of the Riverside Community Art Center. I'm here today to request continued funding for our youth program. She laid out the facts. Enrollment numbers, student success stories, the impact on the community. Her passion showed through every word. Then Ethan took over, presenting the data analysis. He showed graphs demonstrating improved academic performance among students in the program. He quoted testimonials from teachers and parents. He made it impossible to deny the program's value. This isn't just about art, Ethan concluded. It's about giving children a chance, a safe space, a place where they matter, where they're seen and supported. That's worth investing in. The council members asked questions. Ethan and Naomi answered together, a unified team. They'd practiced this, anticipated every objection, prepared for every challenge. After 20 minutes, the council asked them to step aside while they deliberated. Ethan and Naomi sat in the front row, hands clasped tightly. Leo gave them a thumbs up from across the room. Margaret smiled encouragingly. Finally, the woman in the suit spoke. "We've reviewed your proposal, and we've decided to approve continued funding. In fact, we're increasing the budget by 20%. Gasps filled the room. Naomi's hand flew to her mouth. "Your presentation was compelling," the woman continued. "The data speaks for itself, and frankly, we need more programs like this in our community. Well done." The room erupted in applause. Leo jumped up, cheering. Parents hugged each other. The children in attendance didn't fully understand what happened, but they clapped anyway. Naomi turned to Ethan, tears streaming down her face. "We did it. You did it. This is your dream. Your vision. Our dream now." She kissed him right there in front of everyone. Outside the chambers, people congratulated them. Leo pulled Naomi into a bear hug. "I'm so proud of you." Margaret approached, smiling. "That was wonderful. Both of you. Thank you for coming, Mom," Ethan said. "I wouldn't have missed it." She turned to Naomi. "Would you both come to dinner this weekend? I'd like to cook for you properly." "We'd love that," Naomi said. They celebrated at a nearby restaurant with the whole team. Wine flowed. Laughter filled the air. Jessica kept raising toasts. Leo told embarrassing stories about Naomi's first year at the center. Ethan sat back, watching Naomi glow with happiness. She belonged here, with these people who loved her, who supported her. And now he belonged here too. 2 weeks later, Naomi's students surprised her. Ethan had helped plan it with Leo and Jessica. The kids had spent days working on a secret project, a mural on the side of the building. When they unveiled it, Naomi burst into tears. The mural showed 2 hands reaching toward each other, one dark, one light. Between them bloomed flowers in every color. Above, in bold letters, "Second Chances." "Do you like it, Ms. Brooks?" Marcus asked nervously. "I love it," Naomi managed through tears. "It's perfect." The kids beamed. Parents snapped photos. Leo recorded video on his phone. Ethan stood back, watching. Margaret had come too, bringing homemade cookies for everyone. She and Naomi talked easily now, like old friends. Clara showed up unexpectedly, pulling Naomi aside. Ethan tensed, but Clara's expression was sincere. "I wanted to apologize," Clara said. "For that night at the restaurant, I participated in gossip that hurt you." "That wasn't right." Naomi studied her for a moment. "Thank you, that means something. You two seem happy, really happy." "We are," Clara smiled. "Good, you deserve it." She glanced at Ethan. "Both of you." She left after that, but the gesture felt important, like another piece falling into place. That evening, Ethan and Naomi stayed after everyone left. They sat on the sidewalk in front of the mural, watching the sunset paint the sky. "It's been quite a journey," Naomi said softly. "Best journey of my life, even the hard parts. Especially the hard parts. They made this moment possible." Naomi leaned her head on his shoulder. "I'm glad you came to that gallery show, even though I was mad. I'm glad I was brave enough to show up." "You're brave now, really brave, only because you inspire me." They sat in comfortable silence, watching the city come alive with evening lights. Somewhere nearby, children laughed. Music drifted from an open window. "I love you," Ethan said. "I know I say it a lot now, but say it as much as you want. I'll never get tired of hearing it. I love you, Naomi Brooks, publicly, proudly, forever." She kissed him, soft and sweet. "I love you too." 3 months later, Naomi's final gallery exhibition of the season opened. The space was packed with art lovers, community members, and supporters. Her students' work hung on the walls alongside her own pieces. Everything had sold before the night even began. Ethan helped pack up after closing. They worked in comfortable silence, wrapping canvases and boxing up supplies. "Successful night," Ethan said. "The best." Naomi looked around the empty gallery. "Hard to believe how far we've come. From that restaurant to here, quite a story. Think we'll tell our grandkids about it." Ethan stopped mid-reach for a canvas. "Grandkids?" Naomi blushed. "I mean, eventually. Hypothetically, maybe. He crossed to her, taking her hands. I like the way you think. Don't get ahead of yourself, Caldwell. We're still taking things slow. I know, but a man can dream. They finished packing and sat against the wall, surrounded by empty canvases and possibility. Naomi grabbed a small blank canvas from the corner. One more thing, she said. She pulled out a brush and paint. In careful strokes, she wrote a single word in the corner. Seen. What's that mean? Ethan asked. It means I finally feel visible. Not hidden, not diminished, just seen for exactly who I am. Ethan's throat tightened. You've always been worth seeing. I know that now. But it took losing you and finding myself to really believe it. She set down the brush and turned to him. Thank you for seeing me. Really seeing me. Thank you for giving me the chance to. They kissed as the gallery lights dimmed around them. Outside, the city hummed with life, but inside this space, time stood still. Ethan pulled back and looked at the canvas. One word, but it meant everything. Seen, not hidden in shadows, not diminished by fear, not reduced to other people's judgments. Just seen for exactly who they were, together. Come on, Naomi said, standing and offering her hand. Let's go home. Ethan took her hand and stood. They walked out of the gallery into the night, hand in hand, ready for whatever came next. The past couldn't be erased. The mistakes couldn't be undone. But they'd found something better than perfection. They'd found forgiveness, growth, second chances, and a love strong enough to survive pride, fear, and shame, a love worth being seen.